Before you continue with your day, listen carefully, because one habit is silently destroying the confidence of millions of people. One habit is making strong people appear weak. One habit is stealing peace, energy, focus, and self-respect. And most people don't even realize they are doing it. They keep explaining themselves, again and again and again. Explaining their decisions, explaining their goals, explaining their boundaries, explaining their choices, explaining their success, explaining their failures, explaining their existence, as dust, if they are standing in a courtroom every single day trying to defend their life. Let me tell you something that may change the way you see yourself forever. The moment you constantly feel the need to explain yourself, you have already handed over your power. Because confident people do not spend their lives seeking permission to be themselves. They do not waste their energy convincing everyone to understand them. They do not beg for approval. They do not chase validation. They live according to their principles, and then they move forward. The Stoics understood this better than most people today. They knew that not everyone would understand them. Not everyone would agree with them. Not everyone would support them, and they were completely fine with that, because their peace did not depend on public approval. Their confidence did not depend on other people's opinions. Their identity did not depend on external validation. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your life have you spent trying to make other people understand your choices? How many hours have been wasted explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you? How many arguments have you entered trying to prove your worth? How many sleepless nights have been caused by worrying about what others think? Too many, far too many. And the worst part? Most of those people were never looking for understanding. They were looking for control. Some people ask questions because they want clarity. Others ask questions because they want authority over your decisions. Learn the difference, because it can save years of emotional exhaustion. The first lesson is simple. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Read that again. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people believe they are entitled to know everything about your life. Why you made that decision, why you changed careers, why you ended that relationship, why you said no, why you stopped showing up, why you started focusing on yourself, why you became different. But the truth is simple. Your life is not a public project. Your choices do not require universal approval, and your path does not need everyone's understanding. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that explanation creates acceptance. It doesn't. People see life through their own beliefs, their own fears, their own limitations, their own experiences. You can explain yourself perfectly and still be misunderstood. You can speak clearly and still be criticized. You can provide every detail and still face judgment. So why exhaust yourself trying to control something that was never yours to control? The Stoics taught that peace comes from focusing on what belongs to you, your actions, your character, your choices, not the opinions of others. The second lesson is even more powerful. Your results should speak louder than your words. Weak people announce. Strong people execute. Weak people constantly explain what they are going to do. Strong people simply do it. Think about the most successful people you know. Did they spend all day defending their vision? Or did they spend their energy building it? The truth is that explanation often becomes a substitute for action. People talk about becoming disciplined, People talk about becoming successful. People talk about changing their lives. But talk changes nothing. Results change everything. A lion does not need to explain why it is dangerous. Its presence is enough. Likewise, your actions should become so powerful that explanations become unnecessary. When you know who you are, silence becomes easier. When you know your purpose, approval becomes less important. When you know your values, criticism loses power. The third lesson is one most people learn too late. People who misunderstand you are often committed to misunderstanding you. That sounds harsh, but it is true. There are people who have already made up their minds. No explanation will satisfy them. No clarification will convince them. No amount of effort will change their perspective. And the more you try, the more frustrated you become. The Stoics understood that wisdom includes recognizing where your energy is being wasted. Not every battle deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your response. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Sometimes the highest form of intelligence is silence, not because you have nothing to say, because you have nothing to prove. That is real strength. The ability to walk away without defending yourself. The ability to remain calm when others misunderstand you. The ability to focus on your mission instead of every opinion surrounding it. The fourth lesson is one that separates leaders from followers. Stop seeking validation from people who have not built the life you want. Think carefully about that. Why do people spend so much time seeking approval? Because approval feels safe. Approval feels comfortable. Approval feels reassuring. But approval can become a prison. Because once you become addicted to approval, you stop living for yourself. You begin living for reactions. You begin living for applause. You begin living according to expectations that are not your own. And slowly, you lose yourself. The Stoics warned against this because they understood that public opinion changes constantly. One day people praise you, the next day they criticize you. One day they support you, the next day they oppose you. If your identity depends on public approval, your peace will never be stable. Real confidence comes from internal validation, knowing you acted according to your principles, knowing you remained true to your values, knowing you honored your character. That is enough. It must be enough, because if it isn't, you will spend your life chasing something you can never fully secure. The fifth lesson may be the most important of all. Your silence can communicate more power than 1,000 explanations. There is a reason truly confident people speak less. There is a reason disciplined individuals avoid unnecessary arguments. There is a reason wise people do not respond to every accusation. They understand something most people do not. Every response is an investment of energy. Every argument costs focus. Every explanation consumes attention, and attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Why waste it trying to convince people who have no intention of understanding? Why sacrifice your peace trying to win unwinnable battles? Why abandon your purpose to defend yourself against every opinion? You don't need to, and you shouldn't, because your life becomes far more powerful when you stop reacting to everything. Imagine waking up tomorrow completely free from the need to explain yourself, free from the need to justify every decision, free from the need to convince everyone, free from the need to seek approval. How much energy would return to your life? How much peace would return? How much confidence would grow? The answer is simple: a lot. Because explanation often comes from insecurity, but silence often comes from certainty. When you know who you are, you no longer need constant confirmation. When you know your path, You stop asking strangers for directions. When you know your values, criticism becomes background noise. That is the Stoic way. Not arrogance, not selfishness, not disrespect. Certainty. Calm certainty. The certainty that your life belongs to you. The certainty that your purpose is yours to pursue. The certainty that your peace is too valuable to surrender. From this day forward, remember these lessons. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Results speak louder than words. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you. Validation is a dangerous addiction, and silence is often the strongest response. The moment you understand these truths, something shifts inside you. You stop performing for the crowd. You stop defending every decision. You stop carrying the burden of other people's opinions, and for the first time in a long time, you begin living according to your own standards, not theirs, because the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. The strongest person is usually the one who knows exactly who they are and feels no need to explain it.